baby, we are right in the midst of summer and Raw is slamming out shows that make you get up, pump your fists and go, woo, yeah, wrestling. I am Simon from WhatCulture and welcome to the Ups and Downs for Raw, a show where we go through Raw and we give all the bits that make us happy and up, and we give all the bits that make us sad and cry tears and go to bed at night going, why world, why? Bit much. A down. Now it's a pay-per-view week, so make sure you go back in time and watch the ups and downs and great balls of fire. But enough of all this, let's look forward, or at least in the present, and let's do the ups and downs for Raw. It's up and down in time. So Raw did open with Big Cass coming out. He cut a promo, he basically drew a line under his feud with Enzo, and he kept mentioning that he wants the Universal title. And he's getting it up. Now, this wasn't the best interview segment I've ever seen, but considering what Cass has been given so far and how he's handled it, well, I think he's doing all right. I'm not going to go crap all over him just yet. So far, he's still got work to do. He's still a work in progress. He's still got to develop, but right now he's treading water, and that's all right. He needs to work on loads of little things, but given this is his first foray into being a single star, or at least on the main roster, I'm intrigued to see where it goes. He's not floundering just yet, and we do need to get into this debate about his new music. A load of people are going, oh, it's so generic. I quite liked it. What does that say about me? All this prompted the Big Show to come out, and he got into a big schmoz with Cass. And if you've been watching Raw the last few weeks, you could see this coming a mile away. And while it's a decent first program, I'm not so sure. Big Show versus Big Cass? Don't get me too excited, but, we'll wait and see. Keeping Enzo off Raw was smart, though, because it only helps Cass's new aura. And in case you're interested, he didn't just mention the Universal title for fun. Someone in the back told him to mention that. So if you don't think Big Cass is about to be pushed to the moon, well, go take another look at the moon. You probably see Big Cass's face on it. You know, I pointed at my face. I don't have Big Cass. Let's just move on. This all led to our first match on Raw, which was Finn Balor versus the Drifter. And while it was a bit weird that it wasn't on the pay-per-view, this was fine, getting up. I completely agree that this is not befitting of a man of Finn Balor's talents. However, not everyone can be in the main event all of the time, and if you need him to do something while he holds over for that, you may as well put him with someone else that can benefit. And everyone's going to benefit from working with Finn Balor, so this is all right, as long as now we move on. Finn won here, and he did so convincingly, and in no world do I want to see Elias Sampson and Balor at SummerSlam. SummerSlam this year is being treated like a massive event, like it's WrestleMania 2, and someone of Balor's skill shouldn't be in that match. So that's bad, but this is a one and done, and now we can look forward. That's cool. It was on Raw. Raw needs cool stuff. This was cool. We've overused the word cool. And again, it did suck that he wasn't on Great Balls of Fire, which was a pay-per-view, and all your big stars should be on your pay-per-views. But if you've got to rest them. No problem. Right. We're now entering speculation territory, which is kind of dumb on my end, because if I get it wrong, it also means I've screwed up ups and downs. So I'm going to go with it. So everything with the Hardys is getting an up. They came out, they cut a promo about how close they were to winning the tag team titles at Great Balls of Fire, and then proceeded to drop in so many Broken Universe references that we were all sat there like, well, at least I was, with my eyebrow raised like, wait a minute. Then Gallows and Anderson popped up to tell them that they were finished. They all had a match, and not only did the Hardy Boys lose, but they lost because Gallows and Anderson focused on that wound on Matt's head. Let's not forget what happens when Matt Hardy gets bumped on the head. This all then encouraged the Revival to come out. They continued to kick Jeff and Matt's ass, and guess what they focused on? Matt's head. And by the way, throughout all this, Matt Hardy was doing more broken facials than he has done, I think, since he's arrived back in WWE. So this sent all my instincts flying off the charts. So just to reiterate, losing, injuries, getting double teamed a lot, facials. This certainly looks like all the pieces are being put in place for the broken stuff to debut in the WWE. And if I'm wrong, I'm going to be crushed, and that's nobody's fault. Legal stuff is always a problem. But now I'm very excited. I just really hope I'm not being one of those smart assholes and reading into it, because as we know, this would be delightful. I probably am being an idiot, but let's wait and see. Okay, it's time to reflect the roller coaster of emotions I did go on throughout this next segment, and it's going to be a bit crazy, especially for ups and downs, but come with me. Come on the roller coaster, it's time to go for a ride. So, firstly, an up. The Miz came out, he had his version of the Oscars that he called the Mizzies, and all of it was pretty funny and entertaining, and obviously Maurice got one, and so did the Miztourage. The Miz then went on to give himself an award, but before he did that, he made sure to put over Dean Ambrose huge and then say, and I beat that guy, So what does that make me? And I like that. You put over your opponent, and in turn, you put over yourself. And this was even better, because he made out like he won clean, and clearly he didn't, so that was good. But then we got to give something a down, because Dean Ambrose came out, they had a big brawl, and I was like, oh man, does this feud really need to continue? I've seen this feud. It started back in like 1222. I wasn't even born, you weren't born, and yet somehow The Miz and Dean Ambrose were feuding, and it's still going. I just didn't want to see it. I'm done with it. I've seen it enough. But then we have another up, because as this was happening, Seth Rollins ran down to help out Dean Ambrose and teased that maybe the Shield are going to get back together. Dean shot that down at first, telling Seth straight up that he couldn't trust him, and I appreciate that, WWE, because that's continuity, and I'm glad you made reference to it. Of course he's not going to trust him. Back in the day, Rollins screwed him over, so that was a nice nod and wink to the audience. It kept on though, because after a match later in the evening that saw Bray Wyatt take on Seth Rollins, and when that was done, the Miztourage ran out to beat up Rollins. Who was there for the save? Dean Ambrose. The whole time after this, Ambrose wouldn't even look at Seth, and now I'm really intrigued to see where it's going to go. I hope it evolves and takes twists and turns over the next few weeks, and that's great. That keeps me tuning into Raw. And also, if this does wind up with Seth and Dean getting back together, I don't know why I'm whispering, because there's nobody here apart from you and I hope that it actually turns out that Dean Ambrose goes heel. So it's like a big trick. You screwed me before, Seth, and now I'm going to screw you, and that would really refresh the Dean Ambrose character. Here's hoping. As mentioned, however, that last bit did follow a rematch between Bray Wyatt and Seth Rollins, and I'm sorry, that's getting it down. The bout was good again, and the fact they focused on the eye poke from Great Balls of Fire was nice, because it actually rewarded your loyalty. You watched, and now you're going to see that pay off 24 hours later. But then Wyatt won clean, which was nice, because he does actually need wins, and that's 2 on the trot now. But then we had everything with The Miz, so that's it, is it? We're just drawing a line under the Wyatt-Seth stuff just because. Huh? I'm not that upset if it is over, because I wasn't buying in to begin with, but if you were, and you wanted to see where this was going to go, you've just been punished. WWE may have just said, oh yeah, you wanted to see where it was going to go. No, we changed our minds. We'll all forget about it soon enough, but in retrospect, that makes that whole thing an absolute mess. I can't give an up to that. What do I look like? Made of apps? They don't grow on trees. I'm also going to give it down to the Sasha Banks and Bayley versus Nia Jax and Alexa Bliss tag match, because I have no idea what's going on. Bayley got the pin on Bliss, which is good, because as we know, Bayley needed something. But where does this all go now? What was the point? What am I meant to take away from this? Does this mean Bayley now gets a title shot because she did get the pin? I mean, Sasha helped her out a lot through that match. So is she involved? And we know Nia Jax is well up for it. She tells us every week. And yeah, I get it. The whole point is we now watch TV and we see how it plays out, much like the Seth and Dean stuff I just mentioned. But this, again, feels like WWE went just throw all the women into a match. I wouldn't mind it if that happened every now and then, but most of the time, it's every week. It's just let's take all the girls, whoa, throw them into a big match, and then we'll figure it out. And I'd like to see that. A 4-way at SummerSlam for the Raw Women's title would be good, but it just seems like this is the only way they ever go about it. A huge down now though, because we finally got our Goldust versus R-Truth match, and it was basically like nobody gave a damn. Goldust cut another promo. It kind of seemed like this was going to tie into the build, and then they had a 5-minute match and Goldust won. Right, that's it then, is it? We couldn't even put this on some kind of pay-per-view, and if we do hold off to SummerSlam now, it's not going to feel as good. Shame on me for caring about this. Shame on me. Shame on us all. Screw that though, because this does bring us to the Kurt Angle, Brock Lesnar, Samoa Joe and Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman segment, and that was the best thing ever. It may have been the best thing of 2017 on WWE TV, maybe, probably not, but who cares? Get it up. The long and the short of it was thusly. For starters, WWE kept Braun Strowman off TV, and this was the greatest decision ever, because now when he does come back, you've got a mega babyface on your hands. Not only does it make the angle that happened last night feel even more devastating, but now we want to see him, and we want to see what he's going to do. That was smart. Then Lesnar came out and he had his returning moment with Kurt Angle, which I for one definitely wanted to see, which then also led to Roman Reigns and Samoa Joe getting in Brock Lesnar's face, and them all arguing about who should face him at SummerSlam. Awesome. Not only did this back and forth between them feel genuinely intense and maybe even a little bit real, including Brock Lesnar getting right in Roman Reigns' face and saying, "You don't deserve shit," which was excellent. Everyone played their part so well and they all came across like major stars. And the best thing about that is, it means the Samoa Joe experiment worked. It didn't matter that he lost last night at Great Balls of Fire. He now feels like a super main event talent. And even Heyman, you could see Heyman be like, oh no, not Joe. Even though Lesnar won, he's a threat. Well done. All this means that next week on Raw, we are getting a #1 contender match for SummerSlam between Roman Reigns and Samoa Joe. And I've got a little feeling our man Braun Strowman may turn up, interfere in that match, cost it for everybody, and then that leads to a 4-way at SummerSlam between Lesnar, Joe, Reigns and Strowman. And I'm alright with that, especially because if you have decided to take the title off Lesnar, then you can do that without actually having him be pinned, and he keeps his aura, and you can build feuds from there. But all this was phenomenal, and I don't care if Roman Reigns is a face, and I don't care if Roman Reigns is a heel, because the character he's got going on now is far more interesting than it ever has been, and he finally comes across like this is the Roman Reigns I could imagine him being in real life, and that's what we want. What we need. As Angle was involved here too, that eventually did overflow into all his text message shenanigans, and for now, I'm a bit worried, but for now, it's getting enough. I love these extended WWE storylines, especially when they tell me, hey, we're solving this next week, because now I'm excited, but then Angle said this may hurt his wife and kids. I got the fear. Now imagine this is my brain going into overdrive, and you know when you worry about something, that kind of takes over, and even when you take a step back, you go, that's not going to happen, but you can't quite justify it? Well, last night after Raw, they had that Kurt Angle documentary on the WWE Network. Dixie Carter was on it. Please, 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 do not let Dixie Carter be involved with this angle. Good stuff otherwise though, really well done, really well presented, and like I say, I want to see where it's going to go. And then Kurt, he had that phone call, and he told someone there was nothing to be ashamed of. Oh gosh. And after all that, we had another pointless 205 Cruiserweight tag team match, which did come just before the Bray Wyatt and Seth Rollins deal. Man, I tell you, WWE couldn't have cared less about this if they tried. Down. Tozawa got the pin on Neville after a decent tag match, and Cedric Alexander and Noam Dar were involved too. But honestly, this was there to be a buffer, and you could just see management in the back screaming, "This is a buffer!" All the stuff with Titus O'Neil and Alicia Fox is fine too, they're relatively entertaining. But I mean, I don't know, I can just feel it. I can feel that no one gives a damn about this, and that makes me so sad. Give a damn! All that aside though, this was a tremendous edition of Raw, at least I thought so. I enjoyed it from top to bottom, all the stories built, they're going to continue on next week, and I'm excited. If I'm excited, I ain't complaining. Plus, SummerSlam is shaping up to be awesome. I'm even alright if they do 2 4-ways. If you have a 4-way for the women's side, and a 4-way for the men's side, as long as you come up with some more creative ideas on SmackDown, that's alright. That's okay. The show's going to be like 9 hours anyway, and we don't really see 4-ways anymore, so that should work out well. 2 thumbs. Now don't forget to leave a comment below and let us know what you thought about last night's Raw. Like, share and subscribe. Head on over to WhatCulture.com and read Ups and Downs articles, which are different. You get more new opinions, and it's wonderful. And also you can follow WhatCulture on Twitter at WhatCultureWWE. I am Simon from WhatCulture. This was Raw Ups and Downs, and I bet you disagree with loads, but that's great. That's why we're friends. See you this weekend for the big party. There's no party.